When you are under attack, your brain does everything it can to protect you. If that means shutting down certain areas temporarily, then that is what it will do. The clutter you see around is simply a reflection of this internal process. When we are under attack or there is an ongoing crisis in our life, all the lesser important functions such as digestion, sleep, and sexual desire, in this case, the need to sort things out, or shut down. Survival is what becomes the focus. Now the question you may have is, how can I begin to address this clutter? It is a great question and a sign that you're ready to take the next step towards healing. Congratulations. Because healing begins with understanding compassion and gentle action. Understand that what you're experiencing is a normal response to an abnormal situation. You survived narcissistic abuse and your mind and body did what they had to do to get you through it. Show compassion towards yourself. Show compassion for yourself. Do not be hard on yourself for the state of your surroundings or your mind. Remember, you're healing from something deeply traumatic. And finally, take gentle action. Start small. It could be as simple as sorting through a pile of papers or organizing a drawer. The point is to reclaim your space and your life bit by bit at your own pace. You do not need to rush this process. Decluttering your emotions by making sense of what happened to you is also an essential part of the process as well. The more you declutter your internal chaos, the easier it will become to declutter your external. Always trying to navigate a shifting landscape that changed with a narcissist's whims. This experience can make you feel like you have lost a part of yourself, like you have given up on your choices and your life in general. Once out of the abusive environment, the struggle to regain control begins. This struggle often reflects in your surroundings as clutter. It might seem like a paradox, but this clutter is something you have control over in a world that has felt uncontrollable for so long. This is very important to understand. It is an adaptive response, an attempt to stabilize life and experience the freedom to just be. Acquiring and holding on to physical items can also provide a comforting distraction, a way to momentarily avoid the painful introspection and healing process that awaits. These items can also symbolically fill the emotional wound left by the abuse, creating a sense of temporary solace. Now, if you have this trauma response, the first step you can take to resolve this is to recognize clutter as a sign of impaired executive functioning due to narcissistic abuse. It's not about labeling yourself as disorganized or messy. It's about understanding that your brain is responding to a traumatic experience in the best way it knows. This is your mind's survival mechanism kicking in.
The truth is that there are really 4 kinds of narcissism, not just one general kind of narcissism. One is the classic narcissist that I described. That's the classic kind of egotistical, attention-seeking, entitled narcissist. The second category that I like to break out are what I call the malignant narcissist. These have all the characteristics and traits of the classic narcissist that I described, but this particular subset are mean. They weaponize all of those things that we just talked about. They seek to hurt people. They use that arrogance. They use that entitlement. They use that to wreck people's lives, ruin their careers, break up their families, destroy their self-esteem and self-worth purposely. They weaponize it, they target people, and they go after them. Malignant narcissists are, in common parlance, kind of psychopaths. They hurt people. They mean to hurt people because they're mean. The third category is a very interesting group. It's called the covert narcissist. Now, these folks sometimes are a little harder to spot, but trust me, they're just as narcissistic as the strutter. They're just as narcissistic as the blowhard that wants to be the center of attention at all times. But the covert narcissist is one that likes to play the victim role. They're blamers. they're still going to have the entitlement. They're still going to expect to be the center of attention, but they're going to do it more passively. They're going to blame others for anything that goes wrong. But believe you me, they're still going to be the center of attention. They're going to take the victim role and tell you how they've been hurt, how they've been taken advantage of by management or the government or their wife or their husband. And when you listen to them, the things they're claiming are going to be, if you listen carefully, not at all encroachments on their rights, but just someone else asserting their rights. But you're going to hear them saying that they're so special. How could someone do this to them? It's just a matter of whether they're screaming it from the mountaintops or they're sitting over in a corner telling you how special they are, asking you, don't you think that I'm right about this? Don't you think? Isn't it true that they're going to be trying to think for you and put words in their mouth and control you from the bottom side up instead of the top side down? They're passive aggressive, but they still control you a lot. But if you listen and watch, all the entitlement, all of the expectations are still there. They're just much less passive about expressing it. Now, the fourth type, this is one of the ones that I guess is kind of a pet peeve of mine. And this is the communal narcissist. These are the people that, particularly in our exhibitionistic society now, where people think if they brush their teeth, they have to have a camera on them. With the internet, the communal narcissist, you always hear them and see them talking about all of the great and wonderful things that they do. They're always telling you about how they saved these children, how much money they give to this cause, how they traveled to the depths of the jungle to save these dirty-faced, hungry children, how many awards they got. You'll see them at all of these charity functions. You'll see them at all of these galas, and you're always seeing them. They never find a lens, a camera, lights that they don't like. They're always up front telling you what a wonderful giver they are, how much they contribute. Look at me. What a philanthropist I am. What a giver I am. And you can't give them enough attention. I mean, some of these organizations, they'll give them a little money and it's like, oh my God, they're forever in their debt. There's no way you can ever please them, no way you can ever thank them enough, no way you can ever do enough. And let me tell you, it won't be long before they become offended. You can't name enough buildings after them. You can't put enough publicity out there. You can't put them at enough head tables. It's just a matter of time till you're going to offend them and they move on to the next organization. But you know these people, you see them, they're always standing there with a trophy or an award and saying, look at me. You know, at least they do some good. I guess they do give some money or whatever. Those are the four types. So how do you deal with these people? How do you live with these people? How do you get along with these people? And how do you recognize if you actually have one of these people in your life? I recommend that you don't try and fix a narcissist. I've made stabs at that. I've made efforts at that. When I was a young lion and was going to heal the world, I'd take on whatever. It's above your pay grade. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, there are those that believe that you're not going to change a narcissist no matter what you do. And people ask me, well, why not? Can't anybody learn to change? And sure, in theory, anybody can learn to change. People ask me, where these folks come from. Why does somebody turn out to be a narcissist and somebody else doesn't? And isn't it true if you kind of know that, then maybe you know where to start working on them to change them? Nobody really knows where this comes from. I'll tell you what some of the primary theories are. Maybe it'll give you some insight to excuse yourself from feeling responsible for fixing it. You know, people ask, is this something genetic? Is it environmental? I think the research is very ambiguous, but I think most people would agree that it's a learned behavior. Most people would agree that they come from the extremes of parenting. They either had a parent that was way overprotective, carried the kid around on a satin pillow, and made the child believe that they were entitled by turning them into spoiled brats. And I always say, we're not raising children, we're raising adults. And so whatever you do with your child, that's what you're creating.
I'm sitting on a lopsided lobster tank with no lobsters in it. I've been up, down, back around, everything but finished, and I never been got by you. Do, 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 do. Wait, yeah, I did. You fucked me up pretty bad, too.
Have a normal conversation with an adult. Have somebody that cares about you, somebody you can talk to. And the best way to get what you need is to give away what you need. Be there for somebody else. It will fill you up, and I promise you, it comes back in multiples. So, what am I saying here? I'm saying that there's a personality type out there called Narcissistic Personality Disorder. These aren't people that are just kind of nuanced. These aren't people that just, they're just kind of different. These people are sick. They have a mental illness. And it's a mental illness that causes them to prey upon other people. They prey on their self-esteem, they prey on their self-worth, they prey on their relationships, they prey on their careers, they prey on their very life energy.
Diagnosed with some mental ailments. I consider them spiritual sicknesses. However, in 2021, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia and schizo-E disorder. And that is a powerful diagnosis that rocked me to my core. However, I was able to stay in the program. I didn't have to turn to the dope man. I didn't have to go and buy a couple six packs. I didn't feel like throwing everything away just because I got dealt a joker in the deck after I had reshuffled. March 17th, 2020. I reshuffled that bitch. And the cards that were redealt included fatherhood. They included being a 30-year-old man moving back in with my parents after 13 years.